Things don't always make sense at first glance. Look again and you begin to put the pieces together. But look one too many times, and you may see something you wish you hadn't.
Hello everybody, it's me, Dregobob. Welcome to my new and improved channel. From here on out, I'm doing away with some old techniques and things I used to do in my videos, to make things feel more fresh and engaging for everyone. Be it new edits, effects, and so on. I want to prioritize the listening and viewing experience equally, as I know these types of videos are typically watched or listened to. So I'll strive to give you the best of both worlds. Today's series is called Obelisk, one that may very well be in the beginning stages of establishing its world, its entities, and hopefully an eventual story that I can sink my teeth into someday soon. But before we get into the series itself, I'd like to ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. Even disliking or leaving a rude comment helps, so if you have gripes with my video, want to tell me about another series you want me to look at, or just say something funny, the comments are always down below. There's also my Discord server, where artists, horror creators, and more come together to share their works. I also host the odd game or watch night, so there's that too. I'm also aiming to hit 8 or even 10k before July, so let's see if we can make that goal. Looking back to the series, its creator goes by the name of Lizard Minink. Their channel is still fairly new, and they only have 7 videos, 5 of which are dedicated to Obelisk, and the others are interesting to say the very least. Moving on, the series itself is just a little over 20 minutes long. While there isn't too much in the way of a story, I can see the seeds of something that could become quite interesting in the future. I'd also like to note, by the looks of the series' style, it takes a lot of inspiration from Dr. Nowhere, another prolific creator who I've covered in the far-flung past. I'd also like to ask you to go and look at the series yourself. Without the creator, you wouldn't be seeing this video. And now without further ado, let's dive into the first episode. My New Friend. This episode takes place from the perspective of a child. Text at the beginning of the video reading, "They say they made a new friend, and ask us if we'd like to see." It's then we're shown their closet. For the first shot, it's empty, until a moment later, where we finally see them. I'll simply label them as Mr. Friendly. Mr. Friendly apparently doesn't like being watched, but Mr. Friendly does seem to like watching our main character. We watch as Mr. Friendly recedes into the darkness of the closet and disappear, almost as if they were never there at all. Later, we find our main character watching TV. They say Mr. Friendly likes to watch too, and before the TV shuts off, we also see a series of strange symbols flash across the screen. Our character doesn't comment on this, but after, our main character approaches the stairs, a heavy, droning ambience beginning to play loudly as text reading, "He's upstairs," and "Do you see him?" show on screen. We're finally left off with this horrid shot of the main character in bed, them angling the camera at the now open closet to reveal Mr. Friendly standing there in the closet's doorway. The video ends off with Mr. Friendly again in the darkness of the closet, with the text, "Do you see him?" on screen. The emphasis put on sight here is rather interesting. Perhaps the child is often told that nothing's there, meaning this could be a case of you can see it and no one else can. The series itself seems to follow multiple characters, and on top of that, multiple entities. Soon enough, we'll return to this character, so in the now, let's move on to You're Almost Gone. This episode is seemingly more shock content than anything. In the episode, we see several entities, one obscured by a censor bar at the beginning of the video, another massive one that looks like a flayed man of sorts standing in the trees. Later, and interestingly enough, we also see a doorway in the middle of the woods leading into the interior of a house or building of sorts. Beyond this, the episode doesn't give us anything to digest beyond these entities and that doorway, which we'll come back to in the future. So let's move on to the next episode, which actually has more substance. This video is titled, In Your Home. The video begins with this new main character waking up, the sounds of a baby crying in a distant room. The main character climbs out of bed, only to reveal their door is barricaded off with a chair. Text below reading, "Check on Abby." After removing this barricade, they make their way down a single long hall leading to a living room of sorts, and finally to the room housing the crib. A now empty crib. As they turn away from the crib and gaze into a darkened closet beside it, we see the apparent culprit. Another being obscured in shadow that, instead of simply staring, rushes out of the closet and attacks the MC. What's worse about this is the way the camera distorts. The jester-like creature's mask or face distorting to look like a smile before it all goes black. This video is short, sweet, and effective, with us leaving off on a grayed out shot of the jester looking at the camera from beyond the closet. Text below reading, "The doors were locked." And with that, this episode is over. One thing I'd like to note is these creatures seem to be able to manifest from within the darkness, as we see with Mr. Friendly and now this jester. This could also have something to do with the doorway in the woods we saw in the last video. Perhaps these strange doorways connect their world to ours, or are their sole means of getting to our world to inflict pain and torment on those they find. But that's just a whip theory. Next up is the longest video in the series by far, The House with No Windows. This video begins with our MC approaching the home in question, text below stating they'd recently found a strange abandoned house. There are no other houses built around it, and it's in the middle of nowhere. It also has no doors or windows. Another thing of note is we also see an obelisk off in the distance, something our character doesn't note. Though just as quickly as it appears, it's gone. It's just a bit after this that the MC discovers a large piece of wood covering something. An entrance to a crawl space that leads into the house itself. For a minute, they crawl through this dingy, dirty place until they find a way into this strange, windowless home. As expected, it's pitch black inside. As they begin walking through the place, they note it smells like burnt matches. And it's also notable that the interior doesn't seem to make any sense. Halls that twist in ways that don't make any sense to the exterior, while furnishings hang from the ceiling in places. Various other details don't seem to make any sense whatsoever too. After walking through a giant door and moving through more seemingly endless winding halls, we get a glimpse of something. What looks to be Mr. Friendly of all things, before they quickly duck back behind the corner they were peeking out of. After perusing through another room, the MC leaves, making their way out into more seemingly endless halls, where they again see more things that make no sense. Stairs that lead to nowhere, and finally, after returning to the area they spotted Mr. Friendly, they see a final door, one they couldn't hope to reach. But upon turning around, they come face to face with Mr. Friendly again. With the camera distorted and glitching, they plead and ask, "What are you?" and say, "I know your face," before the video abruptly ends on a cliffhanger. Earlier I said we would come back to the original main character. I believe with this line of dialogue, we're again meeting the child we saw in the first episode, grown up or not. While we don't get any real confirmation of this or a grasp on the passage of time, the lone line, "I know your face," is my one anchor to this theory. Though this house brings me back to the idea of there being a sort of buffer dimension or world between worlds these creatures hail from and bleed into ours. After all, we do see the same interior in the door we saw from that first short video. And the way this place seems to shift and morph around makes me think this house and that door are one and the same. Just a different medium and size and connection point. There's also the Obelisk the series is named after. We don't know its nature or what it does, but it's safe to assume it has something to do with these creatures. Now, let's move on to the final video of the series currently. Why do you keep us here? This one opens much differently, while standing in front of a cemetery. They enter, spending some time searching and looking around before making eye contact with a crib. One they approach, revealing it to be the same one from In Your Home, with the addition of a caterpillar or grub-like thing within. For a time, we watch as it rides around, before, behind the MC, the silhouette of the jester from the aforementioned video appears behind them, the screen blacking out as they say, "You're not how I remember you, Abby." Whereafter, they awake in the same room they were attacked, blood on the floor revealing its brutality, and yet the jester doesn't finish the job. The MC staring into the closet, then outside into the empty blackness, asking, "Why do you keep me here?" Before the closet begins to dim, our characters seemingly knowing what this means as they flee, behind them the jester giving chase through the house, one that now appears strikingly similar to the one we saw in the last video. All the while they can hear the distorted cries of their child, before they finally lock themselves away in the bedroom they first hid in, shutting the lights off before they lie down, and in the end, have to listen to their cries as the jester, or whatever their child has become, beats on the door, unable to enter as their mother or father apologizes. And that's it. The current end of the series. As I said, there isn't a complete story. The building blocks are right here for something that can and likely will be very fun and promising. I won't label the ideas I put forth here as cemented or true, as there's more than likely going to be much more in the way of videos in this series. As of now, we know there are two main characters. A child turned grown-up who's stalked by a being I've labeled as Mr. Friendly, and a mother or father trapped in what seems to be the house or dimension the entities hail from. Speaking of that, we're first exposed to the idea of this house, or series of corridors and rooms, being the place these creatures come from in You're Almost Gone. As we see into a door that leads into a house with an interior eerily similar to what we see in the house with no windows, and In Your Home. The mother or father, shown in the first video, In Your Home, may themselves be trapped in this place. We do see Mr. Friendly stalking a child, so it wouldn't be far-fetched to say these creatures steal them away. And one parent, determined not to lose their child, gave chase and landed up there, only to lose their child and land up this jester's perpetual punching bag, until they finally decide to finish the job. Beyond all of this, I feel we have a solid series on our hands. Well, the bones of one at least. As I feel in the future, this could be quite a good one. But with that, we leave off. The next videos I have in store will be much, much larger. I hope that if you watched this far, you subscribed and gave a like. On screen now should be some art from people on my server, which you should join. As always, I'm Dregobob. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Bye-bye. Skibbity.